Snow is still expected across areas of the southeast Sunday, but who is going to see it? We're here to give you all the new information that we have. We'll cover all the individual model runs first. We'll go over all the snowfall graphics. We'll talk a little bit about the energy associated with the system. After that, we'll switch gears and move forward, speak about what's next after Sunday. And guys, I really think the pattern is going to be incredibly active, jam-packed full of winter storm potential, even for areas further to the south. So a large chunk of this video is going to go towards that. So if you think we're just here to talk about snow chances across the southeast for Sunday, you are wrong. Utilize those timestamps. Jump right ahead past the first portion of the video if you don't give a rip about the snow chances across the south. And I got you a segment there. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I know this intro is going to be a little bit longer. This system has been incredibly difficult to figure out. It's been frustrating, honestly, and I'm ready to move past it, but we got a few more videos worth of content to try to figure it out, and we will do so between now and about Sunday morning, and then, of course, it'll be a now thing, but I'm ready to move past it. So we're going to give you all the new information that we have. I'll give you my 2 cents on everything as we go, and then we'll wrap the video up. My name is Mitch. Good Friday evening. I hope you guys are doing well and having a wonderful start to your weekend so far. Subscribe if you haven't, like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please drop it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling tonight. So let's go over all the new information that we have, and I think the new Euro is running right now. We'll see if we have it. I don't think we are. Yeah, it has not ran yet. We might not get the new Euro in this video, and that'll be okay. I don't think it's going to change that much, but I will try to go back to it before we switch gears and go to our next update past Sunday. So we will try to go back to it. But let's go over the Euro from 12Z. This is starting off tonight. So I do want to mention we already have some reports of some rain, snow around areas in the Mid-South tonight. But this is about 1 a.m., midnight tonight, and we got some snow up here in the Mid-South, the Ohio Valley, maybe even around a moderate snow. A little bit of a rain-snow mix as far south as the Cumberland Plateau. Let me know what you end up seeing from this little sneaky event that we've talked about a little bit. We get into tomorrow morning, and we're going to get some moderate to heavy snow across areas of the North Carolina mountains, especially tucked into the southwest areas in the North Carolina mountains, the Smokies. A little bit of snow, I think, is possible in the Tri-Cities region of Tennessee, up into Virginia, West Virginia. But then we move past this event. And listen, don't be surprised one bit tomorrow morning. You get some rain snow showers across areas of even like the western Piedmont of North Carolina. Going to get a little bit of snow up in the northeast too. I know I haven't talked about other areas outside the southeast in a lot of detail that you guys are used to, but I'm going to be real with y'all. The core of my audience is from the South, and when they're calling for snow in the South, I am definitely going to hyper focus on that. You guys know I get very, very detailed on everything. I've read some comments, and some of them just a little bit upset that I've missed a couple areas. Not everybody, of course, just a couple of them. And trust me, I take pride in the details, but it's hard to get detailed on every state out there like I try to do. All right, but let's move forward. So we're getting into tomorrow night, like 9, 10 o'clock. You can already see, maybe a rain-snow mix trying to start tomorrow night, but I think this is mainly rain. I think that's just some feedback issues on Weather Bell here. And then we start to get to 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And you don't see a whole lot of blue on your map, do you? And I really think it's just because the cold air hasn't really worked in yet by the time, this is one of the coldest times of the night. This is like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning. I just don't think a whole lot of cold air has worked in yet. So the green is rain, the blue is snow, but then you start to get to Sunday morning. It is snowing all the way down here in the western panhandle of Florida, even close to Mobile, and cold air is hitting these areas. You can see that 540 line right here, and it's dropping down, but it's a little bit lagged across the Carolinas. But look, you see a bunch of blue pop up on the next panel here. This is 10 a.m. and then this is in the middle. Well, this is an early afternoon Sunday. And not only is it snowing in areas of southern Georgia, the panhandle of Florida, low country of South Carolina, it's snowing at a pretty moderate pace. This darker shade of blue, that is moderate, maybe even heavy snow. Snows all the way up to Columbia, Augusta, maybe up to Charlotte. The cold air is a little bit lagging here in eastern North Carolina. So on this specific run, it's staying at rain. And that's why I mentioned in the beginning, this is so tough to figure out because some models keep this entire system rain, 99% of it. Some, like the Euro, which is historically one of the most accurate models out there, wants to switch it to some heavy wet snow, accumulating snow, as far south as the panhandle of Florida. And then you go to Sunday afternoon and southeast Georgia, even Savannah, Beaufort, just all the way to Orangeburg, it's snowing. All the way to Charleston, it's snowing. The cold air is delayed getting to eastern North Carolina because it's sweeping in down here. So if you're wondering, why in the world is it snowing in the panhandle of Florida and it's raining in North Carolina? Well, that's because the cold air is quite literally coming down here under the higher elevations of the mountains. So the cold air is coming right here. It's also coming right here. But that shallow cold air, dense cold air, is hitting the higher elevations of the mountains, and it basically causes a lag effect. So the cold air is actually able to dip under the mountains, hit the moisture here faster, and it's a little bit lagged. I don't know what that little squiggly mark was. It's a little bit lagged to get in this area. Okay? I hope that makes sense. As you move forward, the system wraps up and we're done. If you're wondering, Mitch, you didn't show us the Northeast. There's not a whole lot that goes on in the Northeast, folks, at all. GFS, what does it show? Okay, here we go. Same thing tonight. You're going to get the rain-snow mix across the Mid-South up into the Ohio Valley. Could get some heavier snow in areas. We get into tomorrow morning, rain-snow mix, higher elevations snow, lower elevations rain across the western North Carolina mountains. Let me slow down a little bit. And then the northeast areas of Tennessee, points north, is definitely cold enough. And then we get into our system of interest. Here it is. We are getting into Sunday morning. You see the blue as far south, once again, as Florida. Southeast Alabama is now seeing some snow on this run. It's, you go one more panel, it's almost all the way up to the southern Atlanta suburbs here. And not only are you getting moderate snow, you're getting heavy snow in southern Georgia, Valdosta. These areas are going to end up getting a snowstorm again when you just saw one exactly a year ago, just about. Rain switching to snow in the central Midlands here of South Carolina. And you go one more panel here. And this is 1 p.m. Sunday. It's snowing all the way up to Charlotte now, almost to Greenville, Spartanburg. It's light. Columbia, light snow. Rain trying to switch to snow, in the PD of South Carolina. But this is heavy snow down here. Just crazy stuff. So if you look at the 4-run trend off the GFS, that's not the button I wanted. Right here. 4-run trend of this. And you're going to see the classic, what we call northwest trend. It happens with overrunning events every time. There's nothing surprising about this. Not one bit. So you might ask, first off, I'm just absolutely, it shocks me the amount of people that say my area never gets snow in Tennessee, Atlanta. Guys, all those areas just got a snowstorm last year. Atlanta got like 3 to 4 inches of snow. And then they got another event 10 days later. So I don't know if people just have a short-term memory when it comes to events or what it is, but Atlanta has seen snow. They saw it last winter. They saw a few inches. And that's a lot in the South in winter, any given winter. But can this make it to areas like Atlanta? Heck, can it make it back to Birmingham, Chattanooga, Greenville, Spartanburg, Western North? It absolutely can. It can. So how far northwest is this going to continue to trend? Can we get some of this heavier moisture into Columbia where it's a band of heavy snow? Very possible. That's where I live, by the way, if you're new to the channel. So we keep this going, gets up the coast, could have a band of moderate snow up into the mid-Atlantic, the Tidewater, sometime Sunday night. We'll watch for that. And then we get into some of these short-range models. Okay, this is the NAM, and one of the versions of the NAM, one of the short-range models that we have here. Timestamps up here in Eastern Time, 1 a.m., and we're going to get this in motion. All right, this is 4 a.m., this is 7 a.m. Look, has a band of snow at the most northwest fringe of this precipitation. Atlanta's right here, Greenville, Spartanburg here, Columbia here. It's a rain-snow mix. We go one more, and all of a sudden it switches some areas that start to rain to heavy, wet snow. And listen, this isn't going to be that snow like for example, Atlanta and Columbia saw last year where it was just a dry snow in the low 20s. It looked like pixie dust. And honestly, I can't stand that snow personally. This will be a classic southern snow if you get snow. It'll be wet, huge snowflakes, and you might go from just rain to all of a sudden heavy snowfall just like that if you get dynamic cooling in the right spot. And everybody will say, what about surface temperatures, Mitch? Because it's going to hit 60 degrees tomorrow across the southeast. Some areas will hit 60 degrees tomorrow, and then 12, 18 hours later, it's snowing. That's this setup right here. But this band of snow, if this is the way it occurs, is going to drop a few inches of wet snow. And then you start to move into 1 p.m. It's snowing in my neck of the woods in Augusta, Columbia, all the way up to almost Fayetteville to Raleigh. And then it wraps up, and it doesn't do a whole lot up into Virginia. It does change the snow here. But you can tell, out of the whole entire system, there's kind of just a tight corridor of snow here. So, yeah. Now, you look at the 3 km NAM. It goes out to 60 hours, a little bit more of a higher resolution model here. And same thing, the green, the yellow is rain, the blue is snow. You're not going to see a whole lot of anything in between. This is already 4 a.m. and you already have some snow, some rain trying to switch to snow as far north as Greensboro, Raleigh, Charlotte. And then we move into about, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 3 a.m. Look, it's snowing in Columbia, Raleigh, Charlotte, Augusta. You're right on the fringe of it. And then you only get like a couple hours of snow, which if it's snowing heavy enough, a couple hours of heavy, wet snow will give you an inch of snow, just like that. Look, Raleigh's getting several hours of snow, and then it wraps up and it heads on off. Now, we'll show a little bit up the road with this because it does show more in the Mid-Atlantic. So let's back it up a little bit. This is 1 p.m. Sunday, 2, 3, 4. Look, Richmond even getting some snow here. Norfolk up to Maryland, Delaware, a little bit of snow, but the axis of snow barely makes it to Boston, Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, and all that stuff. And then it begins to head on off. A couple other short-range models I'll show you. The H-R model, which you guys know I'm a big fan of, that's been tuning in for a while. It only goes at 48 hours out. And I can tell you, it is very southeast. In fact, there's like no snow that shows up because the moisture doesn't get far enough to the west to encounter the cold air. So it's nothing but rain. I mean, there is no blue that shows up on the map. So that's a scenario also. I don't want to just jump on here and show you all the fun snow models, just because that's what I want to happen. You guys know I love snow. And then we look at the RRFS model, which I believe is replacing the NAM eventually. It shouldn't. The NAM should stick around. I think the NAM does well inside 24 hours, in my opinion. But we look at this model, and it's just rain, rain, rain. Tries to switch to some snow in southeast Alabama, central Georgia, Sunday morning, and it doesn't. It's hard to buy this. I mean, there's no way we're going to be rain up here. That's just my opinion. So it's hard to take this model serious, but it finally does switch it to snow up here and a heavy accumulating snow. This will be Sunday night. And, we're getting a brief, small-scale winter storm up here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go back to the Euro here and see if we have the new one in. And it is running. Do we have I think we're going to have the whole entire run. What is it going to show? And, yeah, it looks warmer to me. It looks warmer. But, let's look at the trend here. It does get a little bit of snow back into Columbia. There is some snow. It still shows that kind of axis of heavier snow down here in Georgia. But in general, I don't know if that trended northwest or not. Let's look at the 4-run trend, right? Let's look at this 5-run trend. No, it continues to tick northwest. So I do wonder. Yeah, this is definitely ticking northwest. Sorry, I'm looking at this on the fly, so I'm having to read everything here on the fly and take it all in. Looks like more so the axis of the precipitation change, but it does look like in general everything ticked. I like to look at this better sometimes. Everything did tick. Yeah, that's a steady westerly trend. You see how the heavier precipitation's moving here? Now, like I said, you might wonder, Mitch, why in the world is it snowing in southern Georgia, but in central South Carolina, where you have more favorable climate, right? Why do you have this weird little green area right here? It's like snowing in it's snowing in it's like snowing in the low country of South Carolina, but up in Florence, it's raining. I told you guys, it's because the cold air is lagging. Cold air is coming down here, hits these mountains, there's a lag. It's able just to scoot under these mountains, collide into the cold air. And I honestly think that there's a better chance for this. There's just a flat out better chance for southern Georgia to get snow over probably like Columbia up to Fayetteville. Florence. But I really think that if we can continue to shift this axis of moisture further to the northwest, the heavier rates will overcome. But this first initial precipitation, I don't think there's enough cold air worked in. Like, it has trended this consistently. I don't know if it's trended the precipitation in faster. Let's look at this really quick. Yeah, it has. It continues to blossom the moisture here. But it's also kind of backing up the cold air a little bit. But that's an obvious trend. In fact, it's able to run into some cold air, and we got a little bit of snow early Sunday morning in northern areas of North Carolina and Virginia. So I know I'm getting hung up on this. I'm just this is fresh information. And you keep going, and it's like precipitation tries to blossom back west a little bit. This has kind of turned into a longer duration event. So can we get when some of the cold air tries to fully get in, more cold air aloft moves in, the more you can delay this storm deeper into Sunday, the better the snow chances, in my opinion. Bump the time of the day and all that. That works in your favor. But if you can somehow prolong this and keep the cold air, the better. So I do want to look at that. Yeah, so that 540 line doesn't change a whole lot. So yeah, and I mean, it tries to crash into snow here. It's a very interesting run to me. Okay. So let's go over some of these snowfall accumulations. First off, let's see if we have some new information here. Yeah, that's new information. So National Weather Service forecast, it actually shows a little bubble over South Carolina. Is that going to be the way it happens? It could be. But it shows a few tenths of an inch of snow up here. It's even calling for an inch or two of snow in the mid-Atlantic, a little bit of snow around the North Carolina, Virginia border, north and south of it. And it shows this highlighted area in Georgia where they're actually calling for an inch of snow in central Georgia from the National Weather Service. So you look at the latest Euro run. This is from 12Z. Now let's look at the one from, we got the new one here. Yeah, it dropped a little bit, but this is the latest 18Z Euro run and delivers an inch and a half of snow in central to south central Georgia. And it's like it knows where the South Carolina Georgia border is and just abruptly stops. And delivers some dusting amounts up here in the Carolinas, and we'll take a larger look at everybody else. Has this little secondary area right here and areas of North Carolina. But, you look at the Euro ensemble, and, this hasn't ran yet. I don't know how much this is going to change. I really don't. But this is the Euro ensemble from earlier. The 18Z has not came in yet. And shows a signal for snow, certainly down here in Georgia. And even an inch getting all the way. Remember, this makes up 51 members, creates a mean and an average, gives us a scenario here. And one of the most accurate things you can look at, by the way, too. I will say the globals probably isn't the best thing to look at in the shorter range, but you can still look at them. I do. But you can see a little gap here, and then you can see a little more of an, elevated, more region of snow, if you will, in that area. Now, if you look at the GFS, it delivers 2 to 3 inches of snow, which I think is a possibility, folks. Whoever stays snow the longest and can crash the column. But down here, tucked way east in Georgia. Southeast, central, middle Georgia, whatever you want to call it, few inches of snow. Valdosta, gives you 2 to 3 inches of snow, and then it kind of cuts off, just like the Euro once you get into central South Carolina. Models like that, like the idea of this. And then you look at everybody as a whole right here, and you can see there is let's look at this really quick. It shows an area of snow up here in the mid-Atlantic, the Tidewater to Delmarva too. And I'm trying to find that. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Sees the little bit of an area of snow right here. In fact, I am actually looking for this. Yeah. So it does show a slither of snow across areas of Delaware, Maryland, eastern Virginia, couple inches, few inches of wet snow. Now, if you look at the GFS ensemble, it looks like hot dog water. It just does not look good at all. It looks terrible. It shows the highlight area here across the mid-Atlantic, Tidewater, Delmarva, and down here in southern Georgia. But that could be the way it happens. And you look at the NAM. The NAM is aggressive, right? Central Georgia, let's go on and just closer look at all this. This is Georgia, South Carolina, delivers a swath of a few inches of heavy wet snow. All the way to my neck of the woods. Gives me about 2.5 inches of snow. Boy, I would be just so happy. Oh my gosh. But look how narrow this band is. Kind of cuts off right at Mecklenburg County, goes right through Monroe. For example, if this is the way it played out, northern Mecklenburg County, north of Charlotte would get nothing. Down there in Monroe, we get 3 inches of snow. That's not a forecast. Don't tell your brother's uncle's pet T-Rex that's a forecast, please. All right. And, just a wild cutoff. And I think this is going to be the way it is, except I don't think anybody's going to get 6 inches of snow. All right. And, I could funnel through a ton of model guidance here. I can look at, let's see, the 12 km, and it's a lot more, it's not as aggressive down here in Georgia. Shows half an inch totals here and there. And then in North Carolina and Southeast Virginia, it gets, a heck of a lot more aggressive in these areas. Like delivers a swath of 2 to 4, 5 inches of snow through North Carolina, Southeast Virginia, into southern Maryland, southern areas of Delaware. Still snowing in these areas at the end of the run. So, just to kind of wrap a couple things up with this, guys, this is the energy associated with it. And I stopped talking about this some, but I do want to re-go over it. Listen, we figured out how to trend this west, the energy digging, which is right here. Okay? So we've really dug this west. This is what you call a positive tilted trough. The energy is positively tilted. When it tilts like that, that's positive. When the energy tilts like this, we call that a neutral tilt, up and down motion. We talk a lot about this in severe weather too. When the tilt goes from neutral to a negative tilt, like that means we have a strengthening storm system. All the dynamics of the storm increases, and it just turns into a more high-impact storm system. We aren't even going to come close to this with this storm system. And I don't even think we're going to get this to a neutral tilt anymore. In fact, you go on and look a little bit closer at the eastern U.S. here. Here comes the energy diving down. And you see as it dives across the southeast right here, that is our energy that's going to bring and blossom the moisture. This thing is still tilting like this. Okay? It's still positively tilted. It's just a weak, progressive, lame system in my opinion. But lame systems can still get the job done. I like to throw my emotion into it. So is this thing ever going to get to that neutral look? It never does. Maybe it does out in the Atlantic Ocean, but it's too far too late. So, yeah. So to wrap all that up, guys, if you had to ask me, what do you think's going to happen? And I would say, I am confident areas of Georgia is going to get accumulating snow. Maybe even the panhandle of Florida. But if I had to give you a yes or no on something, I would say, somewhere in those areas I was showing you in Georgia is going to get an inch or two of wet snow. And I really think there's going to be another jackpot, maybe somewhere in the northeast North Carolina into the mid-Atlantic region. The big question mark is kind of from the I-95 corridor from Raleigh all the way down to like Orangeburg, over the Columbia to Charlotte. Those areas right there, are we going to struggle with a cold air lag? I think the moisture will absolutely be there, especially in Columbia. Honestly, and I'm not just speaking on Columbia just because it's my own neck of the woods, because that's where I live, but I think Columbia is a fascinating location for this. I think there's plenty of cold air. I think there's plenty of moisture, but there's a cold air lag. So, yeah, it's a tough one. So when you ask me, Mitch, what do you think about Billy Bob Town, South Carolina? What do you think about this? I hate to do this to you guys, but I'm just going to give you a bunch of, well, there's a chance, or I don't know, or maybe this can happen. And I know you guys don't want to hear that. But if I'm keeping it completely real with you guys, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to say this is a forecast with this storm system. I don't even think the National Weather Service, they probably wouldn't say this out loud like I will, because I'm always going to keep it real with you. But I don't even think they know what's going to happen. I think you guys, I hope you guys can understand that this system is just extremely challenging. And I'll probably say that a couple more times before it's go time, but hopefully we get a surprise, folks. One thing I am confident in is we're about to enter a wild pattern. So we're going to start by looking at the upper pattern here. At 500 millibars, the blues and the bluish green colors you see, that's troughing, lower pressure, lower heights. It brings down cold air, has energy associated with it. Okay, the reds, the pinks embedded in that's a ridge of high pressure. So we start the pattern off, and I'll tell you this. This is our storm system, another way to look at it. Swinging through right here, that's going to deliver our chance for snow across areas of the southeast. So this is going to swing in smooth and then swing out. And then all of a sudden we're going to have this kind of beefy trough that digs down, but it doesn't dig down super aggressively to the south. So this is getting into Monday. We got this trough digging down here, big spiking ridge all the way up into Alaska. Negative EPO is what we call it when Alaska warms up, and we still have that positive PNA in place. This dislodges cold air, a dip in the jet, and we continue to have nasty cold air funneling down to the south. So this will be another blast of really cold air that moves across the middle to eastern areas of the country. And then I do think we have a moderation period for the extreme south. You see you had this broad ridge developing here, but you still have a trough up top right into here. This is going to continue to funnel in a lot of cold through this region. And this will create an active storm track through this region, basically at the boundary of the trough and the ridge. And I think we're just going to enter a very active pattern. So you continue to move forward. We've had this trend. I want to stop it right here. We've had this trend for about the 5 to 6 to 7 day period, so basically 6 to 7 days from now, for this big broad trough right here to break open this ridge across the southern tier of the country. That has been the trend lately over the last 24 hours. And if you look at the, I think it's a 3-run trend. If you look at the 3-run trend with this, you're going to see this happen. Watch how the ridge breaks open here. And the trough is trending for the same time frame. Next Thursday and Friday, it's trending further south. That means the cold air is trending south. That means the storm track is going to trend south. So, man, you got to watch like next week. All right, that is a trend. In the medium range, this is not long range. This is inside 7 days, folks. So, I mean, we're going to be locking into something else right after this storm system. And we're going to have to blend everything over the weekend. But you continue to move forward, and the ridge does try to show back up. I don't know if it is, though. And then ridge tries to flex, 7 to 10 day mark, and then you get another strong signal for a trough over the eastern U.S. Now, that's a cold and dry look right there, but we got plenty of time to trend this one way or the other. But man, that is a very cold run. And then maybe we get a break at the end. This goes all the way out to the morning of the 31st of January. It is absolutely insane it's still January 16th, right? Because we've been speaking so much in the future. We got so much of winter still out ahead of us. I told you winter wasn't over. So we start off with the temperatures, right? How does all that upper nerdy out stuff that I just discussed, go to temperatures? Well, if you look at later this weekend, that storm system is going to bring a shot of cold air. So it's going to get very cold again after a little warm up tomorrow across the south. Enjoy that. And then as we're getting early next week, this is Monday and Tuesday, another shot of very cold air. These are very cold anomalies, guys. I mean, you got the Barney colors showing up. That's, 20, 25 degrees below average. For the heart of winter, mid to late January is CLIMO, the coldest time of winter for any given area across the lower 48. So when you have even 5 to as much as 30 degrees below average, that's cold. So that moves in, okay? Cold air lingers. You get this little warm up. You see some of the, warmer colors showing up, but does it even warm up? Because immediately by the time we get into next Thursday, it starts to cool right back down again. So the warm up across the south is just kind of thumped away, and it gets cold again. And then look how cold it gets at the end of the run. I'm telling you, and guys, I'm really not trying to give myself a pat on the back here, but I'm telling you guys, I told y'all a few weeks ago that I thought that we would have a risk at a lot of Arctic air the second half of January, and maybe an all-out Arctic outbreak. And I'm more confident on that now more than ever. And that is a cold look for late January standards. And that cold air does nothing but bleed even further south at the end of the run. 300 hours out, that is a very cold look. So I can yap about cold air until the cows come home, right? Well, what about moisture linking up with this cold air for us winter weather fans? Well, this is the jet, 200 millibars, 35, 40,000 feet up in the air, way up there. It's kind of the area where the jet stream goes, therefore our storm track. And if you look at this and we continue to move forward and we get into late next week, you can see kind of these highlighted areas of orange and red. That is an active storm track. It gets even more active between day 7 and day 10. This is into next weekend. This is next Sunday, which is a time frame I'm watching, by the way. And you can tell that the atmosphere is going to get locked and loaded with an active storm track. So what does this look like with all the pretty blues, pinks, and greens that everybody loves to see? We're going to look at operational runs. I'm already starting to lock in another time frame. Let's start on the central U.S., and then we'll look at the eastern U.S. We'll start everything off with Wednesday morning. Are we seeing anything? All right, timestamp up here. All right. Talking 100 miles an hour. Got to take a deep breath. All right. Next Thursday morning, already showing a little bit of snow in Arkansas, western Tennessee. You move past that. Anything else after that, we get a week from today. There's a huge chunk of moisture that gets thrown across the plains into the Midwest and the Mississippi Valley. Look at that huge ice storm showing up, not a forecast, for areas of Oklahoma, Arkansas, moving in the mid-south. Look at the snow on top of it. That pink is freezing rain, and then it moves into the eastern U.S. Anything after that? Not on this specific run. Shows a lot of moisture at the end. But I'm telling you, watch that right there. This is already sneaking up on us, folks. It's not like that's 300 hours out. Now, what about the GFS? Does it show the same thing? Well, the GFS gets something going a lot earlier. Okay, this is Thursday morning. Has a wintry mess. The next Thursday morning, the 22nd, wintry mess from Oklahoma and areas of Kansas, Missouri. Don't focus too much on the specifics here. We'll do that in time. And cold air is pressing down on it. And then we get into next Friday, next Saturday, and then this is next weekend. Let's just call it that. Shows the same system as the Euro shows. Big, just a lot of moisture overrunning a lot of cold Arctic air. And we get just a huge wintry scenario, not a forecast. Still figuring it out. And then all that moves into the eastern U.S. And then it continues to be active past 10 days out. A lot of cold air. Yeah, just an active look. Same thing with the eastern U.S. What are we looking at here? It's where a big chunk of my audience is at. First off, we need to watch the event midway next work week. This isn't next Wednesday night into Thursday morning. You got moisture out there. This isn't kind of that little moderation period where it might warm up, but it's still cold enough for snow as far south on the Euro. Okay, the responsible Euro, right? All the way into northern Alabama, northern Mississippi. Shows a swath of accumulating snow through Tennessee, hitting the mountains, and even tries to show some snow into northern North Carolina into the mid-Atlantic. We move past this, and then we get a massive winter storm breaking out across the Mid-South, into the Midwest, the Alps, and then cold air comes in, and all of a sudden it shows an ice storm across the Carolinas, winter storm to the north, and yeah, that is a nasty, icy look right there. As we're getting in the next Sunday into Monday. Not a forecast, but it's already a time frame that we're watching like crazy. I mean, guys, I think I said this. I've said this many times on social media, but I said by MLK Day, Martin Luther King Day, here in the next couple of days, we're already going to be talking about another time frame. It's just nonstop right now. And then we move past that, and it shows a lot of cold air digging down. Shows snow all the way down to Myrtle Beach and 300 hours out, not a forecast. And then we look at the GFS. What does it show? Same thing start off this coming Wednesday, next Wednesday. We got to watch this event a little bit more amped up, warmer on the GFS. This is next Thursday evening. Shows some snow across the Ohio Valley areas, the Midwest, Mid-South, I'm sorry. Wintry mess across areas of Tennessee. Cold's trying to press down. That system leaves us. And then here comes the same system that the Euro shows. Cold air trying to press down on this. Shows this is a cold air damaging event. This is how we score east of the mountains. And shows, if you're wondering what the orange is, that's sleep. But don't focus so much on that. The pink is freezing rain. But shows just a nasty, huge, wintry area across the eastern U.S. And I mean, it almost is like a carbon copy of the Euro. Same time frame. Massive winter storm across the entire area you see in pink, orange, and blue. And we move past that. Anything after that? Yeah, another event. Boy, oh boy. It looks active. So we'll wrap it up with this. Climate Prediction Center, day 6 through 10, okay? It tries to indicate this little brief warm-up. But the northern sections of the country look cold. And I'm going to just take a smaller look at this. I don't want to click on every graphic here and it get glitched out here. But the northern sections of the country is cold. Confidence is very high the further north you get. Almost the entire country looks moist. So if everybody's saying cold and dry, well, you know, it says it here. It's about to get moist. It just backed up everything I just showed you. And then we look at the 8 to 14 day outlook. Okay, this goes from the 24th to the 30th. The chances of below average temperatures begin to drop to the south, and it looks like we have chances at above average precipitation across the east. And then the new 3 to 4 week outlook, guys, and this is from the 31st to halfway through February, almost Valentine's Day. It keeps cold air around across the northeast, mid-Atlantic, upper southeast, and then across the Midwest. It just looks like this is going to be an extremely bitterly cold winter across areas of the north. So one of the last things I'll look at here is this is the chance at hazardous, let's just look at snow. This is the risk. This is the risk of snow here. Let's click on it, make it larger. Oh my goodness, not that large. All right, this is the risk of heavy snow, and there is a slight risk going all the way down to Tennessee and the southern Alps. Pretty large area. What really got my attention here is the several day time period, like right here, and even a few day time period. I think all this is going to adjust. Why does it look so cold? Well, we've been talking a little bit about this. That's the last thing we'll say, and we'll wrap this video up. I know I've been talking like crazy. Phase 6, 5, and 4, and 3 are pretty warm phases. 3 can work. Phase 7 is a transition phase. Phase 8, 1, and 2 are cold and wintry phases. All right, where are we and where are we heading? Right now, we're kind of right into here, phase 6, which is pretty wild because we're about to get a winter weather event across the southeast in phase 6. Over the next few days, we're going to move into phase 7 and only stay there for a whopping 3 or 4 days. And then almost all guidance shows us getting to phase 8, the golden phase for winter weather and cold. across the central and eastern U.S. for the entire last week and onward of January. So high latitude blocking, favorable teleconnections, blocking out west, blocking up top, and a favorable MJO progression, to me, is pointing to glory for us winter weather fans. We're not done. If you don't get snow this Sunday across the southeast, don't get bummed out. Don't cuss me out. There's going to be other opportunities. And I want to final the video off with this. I say it many times in my videos that this is not a forecast. I can read the comments sometimes. I know people say, Mitch, stop worrying about the comments. But, I keep things personal. I can read the comments and I can read right through them sometimes. And I can tell people, look at this stuff. They get their hopes sky high. They probably tell everybody and their brother's, uncle's pet, zebra, that that's what's going to happen. And then when I jump on here and show you another graphic, another video, and it doesn't show what you saw on the last video, you get upset and you come after me. It happens on Facebook, it happens on Twitter, it happens on YouTube, it happens on all social media platforms, and more importantly, it don't just happen to me, it happens to many weather enthusiasts or meteorologists out there. I don't know how to say it any different, but the stuff that I'm showing you is just model guidance. Okay, when I start showing you these National Weather Service forecast graphics, this is actual forecast amounts from the National Weather Service, human beings. All this other stuff's model guidance. I don't make my own personal forecast, folks. I don't. I give you my take on things, on what I think could happen, but I don't make like a separate state snowfall graphic for everybody. If I did that, then you can say, hey, okay, that is Mitch's forecast. Folks, this is not Mitch's forecast. Okay? This is, let me look at this. That's not Mitch's forecast. Okay? I'm not saying the 4 inches of snows, the 4 or 5 inches of snow is going to fall right on top of Raleigh. So if you're looking at this, you say, okay, well, Mitch created this graphic. Mitch is saying it's going to be 4 to 5 inches of snow in Raleigh. This is a model run. This is the NAM. I'll show it to you. I'll give you my opinion on this, which I think it's overdone. But my opinion would be that we could get a few inches of wet snow in this entire little axis right here. It is very possible. That is kind of the overachieving part of this. The underachieving part is that everybody just gets all rain. I don't think there's going to be much of a dry scenario. If you stay dry, chances are you are forecast to be dry. Atlanta, Greenville, Spartanburg, even to Charlotte, Greensboro. So I'll leave it with that. I love you guys. I mean it. And then part of what I do is getting a little bit of flack, and I will take full responsibility for that. But just remember that when I'm speaking, just try to take in what I say in the correct way. And I'll do better at relaying my information as always. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful night. We'll do it again tomorrow morning.